Hi, everybody. Dr. Lynn and Dr. Hopewell here. We are providing for you this week an intro to Module 5, and we're going to, instead of doing a video, we're doing a screencast because we have some particular tools that we'd like to walk you through. So in this module, we are launching into the literature review portion of your study proposal. And we would like to walk you through that and kind of give you a framework of a way of thinking about why the literature review is important and what are some of the key things that you're going to be looking for, outcomes from this module. So, Dr. Lynn, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so one of the tools, we refer to it in the Advanced Organizer as a thinking tool, is that we provided for you is an action research mind map. For some people who think very linear, this might drive you crazy. For people who like to think in diverse directions, this might be just the kind of tool that you would like to work with. So it is available to you. My suggestion is maybe you print this before you go on to the video and then jot down some notes if that's helpful to you. As Dr. Hopewell said, one of the main things that you're going to be doing, or the main assignment that you're working on for this module, is the Lit Review Matrix. And essentially what we're wanting you to do is dive into the literature out there and really develop an understanding that will help you in developing your proposal for your action research study. So one of the very first pieces of the mind map is identifying a potential focus. And several of you have already commented on a potential research topic and been forming partnerships in the Google Doc that we provided to you last module. And what we're really asking you to do there is to identify what's the topic that you want to explore, something that you're passionate about, something that's relevant to your students. So many of you are identifying things like reading comprehension or multiplication fact fluency. And so you're really starting to hone in on an area that you are really wanting to try to get a deeper understanding and investigate in your classroom, which is great. Motivation. The next piece on the mind map talks about, so why is this important to investigate this specific topic? Out of all of the things going on in your classroom, all of the issues with the students and learning in your classroom, especially the students in your classroom this semester, why this particular topic? And so that it's really, really important for you to put some deep thinking to that and not just pick something so that you have something at random so you can fulfill this assignment, especially because you're going to be working on this for this semester and then throughout next semester. Dr. Hopewell?
Well, and remember, we talked about in the coaching session, we talked about the fact that we want you to have an area of focus that aligns with your program. And the reason for that is that when you get closer to the capstone project, that will be an important piece of the capstone project for your degree program. So if you're a math, if your emphasis is in math or if it's in technology, that's going to have an important alignment issue towards the end of your program. So potential focus and motivation, there's arrows that go back and forth from that. And for me, that is important because there's lots of things that we could focus on. There are many, many things that are interesting to track down in our classroom, but one of the motivations that we need to have as we narrow that focus is keeping in line with our program direction here at Black Hills State. So again, math emphasis, reading emphasis, that kind of thing.
Okay, so as you're thinking about the why is this particular focus important to you, as teachers, the very next question that you start thinking about is, so who are my participants going to be in my study? Who is it that I most hope to influence in my classroom? One of the distinctions that we want you to start thinking about as researchers, as opposed to being teachers, is using the terminology participants. So those that you might choose to focus on for your study might be all of the students in your classroom, potentially. It might be students who are maybe those struggling readers or students who will have difficulty with certain math concepts that you're really wanting to help bridge that gap. It might be the higher achieving students. So really do some thinking about who those students are that you're going to collect your data. They become the participants of your study. May not be all of those in your classroom. Later on, when we talk about methodology, we're going to talk about how those participants get decided by the simple processes of consent from parents and assent from students. So just a little foreshadowing there, but we'll get onto that a little more deeply later. Okay, then now we're going to launch into the center of that mind map. And what's the big thing that you're going to be doing? You're going to be launching into an investigation of the literature that's out there. For the purpose of the work that we have you do this semester, we really want you to find literature that's representative of three different types of resources. One is, what is theory? Theory that's out there that talks about, that's relevant to your topic. And so for learning, it may be constructivist theory like Piaget or Vygotsky or Howard Gardner. They might have some interesting things to say. It might even be social learning theorists like Albert Bandura. So you're going to have to brush off the dust off of some of your knowledge of theorists and go out there and investigate and find the literature that supports what you're wanting to do. Pedagogy experts. These are the people who write resources that teachers usually read or at least collect on their shelves. And so these are sources that you might already have. It might be sources that perhaps a reading specialist in your school might have available to you or a principal. So I always recommend that you let people know, those colleagues know the topic that you're investigating, and they might pass along a professional research journal or some type of a book that's available to you. What you're looking for is, what are the experts saying about effective teaching and ways to help promote student learning? The third type of source is prior research. This is where it's really important that you get out there, you find those professional journals, and you look for articles specific to topics that are related to your area of focus. What did prior researchers investigate? How did they investigate? What were their questions? What methods did they use? And then how did they what did they suggest for the implications for future studies? So find those research articles. It's sometimes very, very helpful if you find a really great article that's highly relevant to your study. Go to the back of that article, look for their reference list. That's a way to really save some time in that random searching that you're doing otherwise. Find the resources that they used, and then that's the next rabbit trail that you want to follow.
I think it's important for you to remember, and I don't mean to demean or degrade anyone's planning for their classroom, but remember, Pinterest is not a literature review source. If you go out and you find, Sally's classroom blog, those are not valid sources for our research. They might lead you in a direction, they might give you an idea, but that's not where we're going to stop. What we really want to do is get down to finding solid resources of research and recognized experts or theorists that can help guide your research in your classroom in a solid direction. So just keep that in mind. This is going to take a little bit of work. It's going to take a little time in the library. Online, you can use the online library resources. This is really going to start to build that foundational bedrock upon which you can take your potential focus and do a discipline study. We're going to end this presentation here and pick it up in part 2.